Welcome to the Working Smarter in Trello webinar. My name is Dasha, and I'm one of the product marketing managers here at Rewind, the backup and recovery solution for SaaS apps, including Trello. Today's event is a really exciting one, and I'm so grateful to you all for being keen to learn something new, registering for this online, and showing up in person. And I'm actually joined by two amazing people, my friends Brittany and Craig. Without giving too much away, both Brittany and Craig have a wealth of Trello knowledge that I'm certain everyone attending the webinar can benefit from. So to kick things off, let's go over today's agenda. We'll start over by going over some quick intros so you know who we are and why we're presenting. And then we'll go over our, so to speak, Trello ABCs, approvals for Trello, then backups for Trello. And finally, we'll learn all about Crumble, the CRM or customer relationship management software for Trello. And then you'll have a chance to ask our panelists some questions about their solution or really anything else that comes to mind. So I guess I will kick things off here. Like I said, my name is Dasha. I've been at Rewind since 2019, and I'm the product marketing manager here at Rewind working on backups for Trello. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, so I'm right by the mountains. And when I'm not working, I'm probably hiking with my golden doodle, Finley, who you might, but hopefully not hear in the background today. Yeah, getting to work on backups for Trello has been really exciting for me because I've been a Trello user myself for quite some time, and I store my personal workflows in the app. So it's been really cool to chat with Trello users like myself to learn all about how you all are using Trello to either run your personal life or your business. So with that said, Brittany, I'll pass it on to you to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Brittany Joyner. I work full-time. I work for a tech company that's based in California called Elastic, but on the side, I'm a huge Trello and marketing nerd. And I actually work with the Crumble team, which is a Trello power-up. You'll learn more about them, but I help lead with our sort of product marketing and lead gen sort of efforts there. So been with the Crumble team for about a year and a half almost. And the reason we connected is because I'm a huge Trello nerd. As I mentioned, I've probably been using Trello for almost 10 years, very actively in the last 6 to 7, and teaching a lot of people how to use it, very active in the community, and building all sorts of cool stuff with it. And I built a CRM out of Trello because I had enough people ask me, and I was like, well, you could probably figure it out if you use these power-ups and do this, like here's this whole thing. And so fast forward, Crumble reached out to me because I wrote a blog post about that, and the rest is history. They were like, we actually automated everything that you just said. And I was like, that's amazing. So yeah, I'm a regular contributor to the Trello blog, and just love helping people find ways to save time in their lives and be more productive with Trello.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany, for the introduction. If you haven't already, Brittany's blogs on the Trello blog are amazing, as well as the Crumble blog. So check those out. And Craig, you're up for your introduction.
Cool, thank you. And can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Cool, so it's a pleasure to be here. I guess first thing first, I'm struggling with a really sore throat today, so apologies if I'm taking sips of water throughout. It's a pleasure to be here. Obviously great to be alongside Brittany and Dasha. I'm relatively new to the Atlassian kind of world. Joined at Fox last year in July. Previously to that, working in the healthcare industry, specifically in the pharmaceutical industry. But I was first introduced to Trello back in 2018 when working for a financial tech company. And ever since then, I loved it. I mean, it has this magical way of being very simple, but also like incredibly powerful. And with today having over 50 million registered users, it's obviously fantastic. So yeah, it's great to be here, great to be a part of this. I didn't actually know this before Dasha said it, but having a golden doodle. So in my spare time, I'm also typically found walking our golden doodle Ruby. So yeah, it wasn't set up by chance, but yeah, also got a golden doodle. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Yeah, I had no idea you had a golden doodle too. If anyone has a golden doodle, drop it in the chat. Or if you have any other pets, love hearing all your dog and cat stories. Cool. So that is a perfect segue into Craig, your presentation about approvals for Trello, what it is, why people need it, and why every Trello user should know about it.
Cool, perfect, thank you. So yeah, Approvals for Trello was launched back at the beginning of 2019. And so in my previous experience, I've had quite a lot of experience with different approval applications. Building on kind of Trello before moving into the approvals section, obviously Trello can be used by a wide variety of teams and for a number of reasons as well. So this is only a snippet of the teams that could probably use Trello day to day. Obviously each team will use it for a different purpose, and this is literally just scratching the surface, but approvals is quite all-encompassing, and yeah, it's grown tremendously since we've launched. So yeah, it caters for a wide audience. Next slide, please. Thank you. And then before diving into giving you a demo of what Approvals for Trello looks like, I think the fundamentals of why an approval process is important is good to cover off first. So very simply, it's a great way of gathering feedback. Now, in kind of my experience with working with approval processes, sometimes it can be seen as a bit of a chore or a laborious task. Actually, it's a great opportunity to gather feedback from people that have different expertise or perspectives, and it can actually turn good work into great work as well. On top of that, obviously, what it says on the tin is getting the sign-off for that work or that project before it goes out the door. And closely linked to that, many companies have processes in place or procedures that require a level of approval process, whether that's a small company or even a large multinational enterprise. Typically, there will be a policy in place that requires a need for approval on specific items, and it's a great way of doing that. And finally, as well, again, linking back to some of my own previous experience, it always felt better to know that something's been approved before it went out the door, because you know if there was something wrong with it, it's been checked by a wide range of people, and also it prevents that situation from happening, because the more eyes you've got on something before it goes out, the better. So they're the four kind of main reasons an approval process is important. Next slide, please. And then again, building on the experience as well, I've seen a lot of what works well, but also what doesn't work too well with an approval process. And I've again boiled it down into a couple of points about what makes a really good approval process. And this can be applied across the board to very detailed, lengthy approval processes versus very simple ones. So I think the first thing is it needs to be really easy to use and easy to adopt. And that's not just for the person using it, but that's also for the review team as well. The easier it is to adopt, the more painless it will be for everyone involved, and the more it will help with the productivity overall. In terms of being centralized, having something in one place that prevents context switching, like switching through tabs, using email, instant messenger, the more applications you have to use to do the process, the more counterproductive it becomes. So again, a really good approval process is one that you can have more centralized. Being flexible to change, having too rigid structures obviously makes things difficult. So it needs to have some level of flexibility within that. As mentioned on the previous slide as well, a good approval process needs to encourage feedback. So providing that kind of collaborative approach, the reviewers being able to provide their feedback in a timely manner, and then the actual project owner being able to action that and make the changes accordingly. And then finally, deadlines as well. And obviously I'll link into Trello in a second with regard to due dates, but projects are typically time bound. So having an approval process with timing is in there helps you keep the project on track. Next slide, please. And with the kind of basis set, this is a nice segue into Approvals for Trello as an app. So as I mentioned, it was launched at the beginning of 2019, and so just over 2 years old. And it's a very simple app in its entirety, but it has a lot of really cool features that I'll go through in a second. So the core functionality, the reason that people use it is obviously the ability to send Trello cards for review at the single click of a button. So you can send that to people or teams at the click of a button, and it's very visible, as you'll see in a moment, whether an item is in review, approved or rejected. Currently today, again, within 2 years, we now have over 40,000 Trello boards using the Power Up, which is fantastic for us. And it's continuing to grow really nicely as well. So we're excited for the future. Again, welcome any feedback from people using the Power Up, and it helps us to improve the product going forward. And there is a pro version of Approvals for Trello, which again, I'll touch on slightly in the demonstration in a second. And with this pro version, you can unlock extra cool features such as approval teams and card automation, so that the cards can move automatically around your Trello board based on the approval status. In a nutshell, it is kind of really easy to use but powerful review process that you can put into your Trello board. It's all built around the Trello cards. So yeah, with that being said, I can move on to a demo in a moment. Okay, so this is I've done this from a marketing perspective, but it is applicable across a wide number of use cases. So here is a very simple agile marketing Kanban board. Here you can see a number of Trello cards, and with the approvals of Trello app installed, as you can see here, you can do a very simple approval process. So for example, if I take this card here, which is tutorial video, when the app is installed, you click into the card itself. Under Power Ups, you have approvals. If you click onto approvals, you can just start up an approval here, select the person. This will pull through who's in the Trello board. So it'll be a full list. For this example, it's just myself and my colleague, Jack. But if I was to choose myself, for example, and press create, that then shows me as pending. And if I go back here, you can see on the card that it's very clear. There's the status there. It's like a purple. And it also has the 0 out of whichever number of approvers you've selected. Obviously, it's just me, so it's 0 out of 1. And any of the cards that are in review, you can see here have this like icon. If you click back into the card, you can see, again, a dialogue around the process. So currently it's pending, currently it's with me. And I can obviously see the approve or reject button. So simple in principle, but quite powerful in application. So for the purposes of this one, I'll press approved. And as you can see in the card as well, it changes to approved, and on the card on the outside as well, it's approved. It's very visible. You can see that. So again, managing projects, you can easily manage this from all in one place. So that's the first bit of functionality, which is, again, really simple, really easy. Reviewers can go in, add the comments to the Trello card and use it that way. Just to touch on some of the pro features that I mentioned, the automation teams and the automation and the approval teams. If you have the pro version installed, which is a subscription-based license, you can set up approval teams. So if I click back into here, I'll set up an approval team, which will be the marketing team, for example, and you can put in a description there if you wish. I'll select myself. I won't add Jack because I won't be able to show you the automation if he's not around to approve it. And then in here, you can activate the automation. So when this is approved, I want it to move to a different list within the Trello board. So for this one, I'll move it to the approved list, which you can select from here. But if it's rejected, move it to the rejected list as well, and then save. So now that that's done, the marketing team is set up. If I click into another one of the Trello cards here, so let's take a thought leadership blog, for example, I'll add an approval just by clicking the plus. I'll select the team that I've created, which has the automation built into it. And once that's selected, you just press create. And that's now on the board. Now, if you can see in the background, the thought leadership blog here, if I click approve, it will move. As you've seen, it's moved in the background. It's updated as you've seen before, and it's now underneath the approved list, which is great. So if you send something off to a colleague, for example, and overnight they approve it, you come back in the morning, it's automatically filtering through your Trello board, which is really cool and really easy for people to use as well. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is approvals for Trello. As I say, it's used by thousands of people around the world, which is really awesome. But yeah, we're continuously looking to improve the product. So any feedback that people do have as they start to use it, please feel free. There is the free version there as well to use. So yeah, thank you for your time. I'll stop sharing.
Craig, this is amazing. I feel so much like, I feel like this would take off so much pressure to think like, has this been approved? Has my boss seen this email? Can I start working on this, or are they still thinking about it? So I can see why it's such a widely adopted app, I mean, and I'm going to keep sharing my screen. I think you've got a few more slides here.
If I can just chime in too and say that, like, I'm working projects I work on for my full-time job. I work in ads, and so I am launching social ads. We need everyone and their mother and their cousin to approve things, and so like having something like this is so helpful because like it breaks my heart I can't get them on Trello, but like having something like this is like so critical because, you know, like you were mentioning, Craig, like it, for one, it helps make sure there's no errors that get out, but it also helps when someone's like, well, I didn't see that ad. It's like, well, someone on your team saw that ad, and like we, you know, making sure we're able to scale basically the process of having eyeballs on things. So in the real life, I can attest this is super helpful and needed.
Especially when your organization grows. Like I've watched Rewind grow from, I think like 20 people when I joined to now we're over 100 people. And so as we scale, we have these growing pains, and having approvals in a specific process for getting things approved can be so, so helpful. And sorry, I think I cut you off, Craig, so please go ahead.
No, not at all. I was about to say, it's funny because when I first got introduced to Trello about 3 years ago, I was using it to manage my marketing projects, but I didn't have an approval tool at that point. And it was kind of, I sat there thinking this would be amazing to do. I didn't actually develop it off the back of that. I joined the team that already created it a year later, but it was exactly that. You know, you've got something that is amazing at managing projects, but when you have more people involved, you need that process in place. And it's a sanity check as well. That's the thing. So yeah, it's great. And I've had my own experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people on the call will agree that doing things through email and instant messaging is great when you're working with maybe one person or two people. Once it starts scaling beyond that, it becomes very painful for everyone involved, and version control is difficult as well. So yeah, this is my last slide, and then I'll hand over to Dasha. I think I'm handing over to yourself. The approval to Trello is very flexible. So, I mean, I captured a couple of the use cases here. An example of what I showed in the demonstration is typically the campaign planning, but it has a wide range of use cases. So again, for everyone on the call, you've seen the functionality and the features, and obviously you can tailor that to meet your specific needs. So I've literally just put a few here, but there are many, many more that approvals for Trello can cater to. And as I said before, any feedback is welcome. So by all means, get in touch with us via the website, drop us feedback or ideas for future improvements. We'd love to hear them. And yeah, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh. Okay. I flipped through a few more.
It was that good. We want to see it again. Encore, Craig. Encore.
Yeah, encore. That's my encore slide. You're right. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to dive into my presentation all about backups for Trello, which is a power up that we launched in April. So it's quite new. But before I get into that, I'll tell everyone here a little bit about Rewind, the company. So Rewind is a leading backup and recovery app for Trello, Shopify, BigCommerce, QuickBooks Online, and GitHub. You can probably tell there's a theme here. We're trying to become the backup and recovery app for every SaaS app. A lot of people refer to us as the magic undo button for apps that don't have one. So in this case, that's Trello. We are headquartered in Canada's capital city in Ottawa with over 100 employees, and we're growing very rapidly, like I mentioned. Right now with the pandemic, everyone's spread across the country. So like I mentioned, I'm tuning in from Calgary. We've been trusted by over 80,000 organizations across 100 countries. So 80,000 organizations have trusted us to back up and recover their data. And we've been on this mission since 2015. That's been our goal, to protect mission critical cloud data powering your business, whether it's small or big. Making sure that the data that powers your business is protected. And one of the things we're really dedicated to is delighting our customers. So we're proud to have over 1,300 five-star reviews across our platforms. And one of our core values is delighting our customers and always going above and beyond. So why backups? I really like to share this chart that I found. Companies are more and more investing into their tech stack spend each year. So SMBs, or small to medium-sized businesses, companies with 1 to 500 employees, are using anywhere from 40 to 123 tech apps right now. And I know that Rewind definitely fits in here. I cannot count the number of tech apps that we're using to power our business. And that being said, even though companies are increasing their dependency on SaaS apps like Trello every year, many apps actually don't offer a backup. And this is a highly misunderstood topic. A lot of people feel like they're, it's the cloud, it backs up everything. And this isn't necessarily true. So Trello, for instance, backs up its platform, but not your account level data. So what does this mean? I'm happy to explain. Imagine for a second, so put on your imagination cap. Imagine if a meteorite landed on Trello's server, or if Trello experienced a massive data breach, as we've seen some companies experience in the past. These are two very unlikely scenarios, but if they did occur, Trello would be able to restore all of the lost data. So they're protecting their overall platform. And the solution that Rewind has built for Trello is for data loss situations that are way more likely to occur. So this includes malicious attacks, buggy power-ups, disgruntled or ill-intentioned employees that decide to take revenge and delete all the boards at the company, and our number one enemy, ourselves. Human error, by and large, is the number one reason why people lose data every single day. We see people accidentally delete mission-critical data daily. That's basically why we exist. And we always say that the best time to have a backup is before you need one. So backups for Trello, our latest creation. It's been live in the Power Up Marketplace since April, like I said, and we've offered hundreds of Trello users relief, knowing that they can work safer in Trello with automated backups running daily, and the ability to create a backup at any time, and on-demand recovery available at their fingertips whenever they need. So with backups for Trello, we're backing up, brace yourself for this list. We back up boards, cards, attachments, custom fields, labels, and checklists. And this summer, by popular demand, so this is a highly requested feature, we're bringing comment backups to our solution as well. So if comments are your game, please stay tuned. That is coming to the app. Our Power Up is available, like I said, in the Power Up Marketplace, and it's also available through our website, rewind.com. Regardless of where you install the app, you can always access your data in what we call the Rewind Vault on app.rewind.com. And what this means is that even if Trello is down or experiencing downtime, you can still access all of your board's information in the Rewind Vault. I've also heard from a few Trello users in customer conversations that the Power Up limit is a concern. So 2 things here. You only have to install the Power Up on one of your boards to back up all the boards. So you don't have to install it on every single app that you want to back up. And if you want a total workaround, you could just install it from our website and it won't count towards your Power Up limit. So a bit of a workaround there. So in summary, before I go into my product demo here, we built backups for Trello so you can bid farewell to the old way of backing up Trello boards. You can say goodbye to making copies of your Trello boards, taking screenshots of your boards to preserve them. And I think this one is going to hit home for a lot of you, having to remember to manually export your boards as CSVs. Every time you have to do a backup and you add something new to your Trello board, that backup CSV is no longer your most recent backup. So it can be annoying to have to go in there every day or every week to do that export. With Rewind, we're introducing the new way of protecting your data where you have full access, control over the information that's living in your boards. So with Rewind backups for Trello, you'll have automated daily backups, on-demand recovery, and an unlimited backup history. So without further ado, I'm going to take you behind the scenes and into the app. So this is our Power Up listing in the marketplace. So if you search for backups, we'll pop up and you can add the Power Up from here. We have a free 7-day trial. And if you're looking to become a paid user afterwards, it's $1 a board. And yeah, you can always get in touch with our sales team if you have a large number of boards, and we can work out a special volume discount deal for you. And so this is my demo Trello board, and you can see that I've already installed the Rewind app here. So if I click into here, this is the Rewind Vault, and you can access it from Trello directly, or you can sign into app.rewind.com and access all of your data. And this is important because you don't want to back up your backup to Trello. You want to make sure it's kept somewhere separate from Trello. A true backup is one where you're storing your data. We like to say, don't store your hard drive to your hard drive. So basically all that to say, the data is not stored in Trello, it's stored in the Rewind Vault, and you can access it 2 ways, through Trello or through Rewind directly. So let's probably use this view just because it's a little bit easier to see here. This is the Rewind Vault. You can think of it as a database that's storing all of your Trello information, and it stores it sequentially. So as things are updated in your Trello boards, it's updated here. So you can see that, my legal review card was updated today at 11:16. And then some of the changes that were happening yesterday were backed up as well. So we'll back up changes as they occur in the app. And we run a backup every day, unless you know that your team is going to be making a lot of changes and you want some extra security. You can always schedule a backup whenever you need. So say I'm going to test out this new power up. I'm not really sure if it's legit or not. I wasn't able to find any reviews about it online. I'm going to back up my information to preserve it as it is. I know everything's working perfectly right now. I'm going to hit backup now and kick off a backup. But otherwise, you don't have to really worry about your backups. They're running in the background. A lot of people are like, the best thing about Rewind is that I never really pay attention to it. It's just doing its own thing in the background. So that's us. You can tell the time of your last backup here on the left. So the last time I backed things up was June 23rd. I ran a manual backup. And then the next scheduled backup, unless I run a manual one, will take place at midnight today. You can also click into your cards, all your items, and see the version history of each. So let's take a look. So like I said, I updated the legal review card in this board. Let me show you. So today I went in and I added a new description. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it to demo right now. And you'll notice that, let's go back here. April 30th, it didn't have a description. This morning I added new description. And now if I add this demo one and then I do a backup now, Rewind's going to run a backup, and everything that's been updated since the last backup will be reflected here. So while that takes place, I'm going to walk you through some more things. So if you know that you or your teammate has accidentally made a change that you want to revert, you can always search for that in the vault. So for example, I know that I made a change to this Carbonite guild card. I can always search Carbonite and it'll bring it up. And then I can look for its version history here. You can also filter by the type of Trello data you're looking for. So if you're not really sure where you made a mistake, but you know that it was a label, for example, you can look at just your labels and sort like that. So the search feature and the filter feature is really handy. Then if you go into advanced restore, that's where you can actually revert or restore your board back to a previous point in time. So right now we're allowing full board restores. So I know that my board is called the project management board. If I wanted to restore it back to the way it appeared yesterday, for example, I'd select the project management board from the drop-down menu. I'd say, okay, yesterday at noon, everything was working perfectly. So I'd go back to June 22nd. It already has selected noon. Oh no, that's midnight. So I'm gonna go and select 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or let's do 11:59 p.m. And then I would click restore items. And then when your restore is complete, you get an email from our team saying that your restore is complete. At the moment, our development team is doing restores manually because we just launched and we're using this as an opportunity to learn about you, the type of data you're restoring, the nature of your restore request. But this summer, these restores will become automatic, so you won't have to wait for our team to restore your data. It'll just happen automatically, and it'll take anywhere from a few seconds to maybe an hour, depending on the size of your board and the amount of information stored within it. So let's go back now to the all items. I'm going to stop filtering, do all types, and see whether my card was updated. So legal review. And remember, I added demo to the description. Here it is reflected here. It's now updated my description, and I should have 3 versions: the one with no description, the one with new description, and the one with demo. So that's how the version history looks. And say you don't want to restore your whole board back to the way it was yesterday, and it's just like this one card that you made a mistake to, you can always just copy and paste and then go back to your board and manually just enter the missing piece of information. But it is really handy to see like, how did a certain item appear on the date that I want to go back to? So yeah, like I said, you can always find or add the Power Up here through the Power Up Marketplace, or you can install directly on our website. And if you have any questions about the app, we are doing a Q&A at the end. So you can ask any of us questions about our apps and we can dive into it a bit more detail. And that is it, I think. It's a pretty simple app. It just works, which is something that you'll see a lot in our reviews. There's not a lot to it. It's just like a powerful undo button, really. Cool. So no encore for this one. I will pass it on to Brittany to talk about Crumble.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you so much. And also just wanted to post and say Alberto is here. He is amazing. He's with Crumble. If any design you see he has done, he really brings the Crumble brand to life. As you'll see my Zoom background now, it's a little teaser for an event we have coming up next week. It's a Crumble summer party. And he made all sorts of Zoom backgrounds and amazing like graphics for it. So Alberto's here, and more than just graphics, he also helps with the product and is very much front and center with a lot of our calls with customers. So feel free, if you have any questions or anything as I'm going through, feel free to post them, and he'll probably be able to watch out for them, and appreciate him being here. He's based in Spain, which I think I saw some of the rest of you are as well. So I know it's pretty late for you all. So thank you to everyone for joining us this late. But so I'll just get started here. What is Crumble? Crumble is the easy peasy CRM for Trello. And if you're like, okay, I don't know what a CRM is, like, we'll get to that. We'll explain that in a minute. But basically, it's a way to store contacts and organize them and manage those relationships. And so Crumble is a power up that turns your board into an easy way to do that in minutes. And as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, the way I got connected with Crumble is because a couple of years ago, I wrote a blog post about how you could build this out yourself in Trello. And it was like, well, if you add the custom fields power up, and then, if you set out your list layouts like this, and I never really solved the reporting piece. So it was like, okay, but not perfect. And the Crumble team reached out to me a little over a year ago and was like, hey, we built what you're describing. Like, do you want to take a look at it and give feedback? And I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly what I, was envisioning. And also like even more advanced and takes minutes rather than, what I described before was like a whole process to set up. So this was really cool. I was super excited by that. This incorporates all those important elements you need in being able to manage contacts, from custom fields to being able to report on, like if it's a sales pipeline, how those contacts are moving through, to automatically integrating with forms where your leads are coming in, and so much more. And so, funnily enough, we launched last March, and I started working with the Crumble team in January prior to that, January 2020. And they were like, okay, like you've got marketing experience. So like, and you're, big in the Trello area, like help us think through, like, we want to hit like 10,000 users in the 10,000 in the first year. And I was like, okay, that's pretty ambitious because not a lot of power-ups achieve that. Like I looked at all the power-ups that were out there and I was like, doesn't look like a lot of them achieve that ever, let alone, I don't know how much of that happened in the first year. So I was like, let's be a little more conservative. Let's just try to aim for 5,000 in our first year. And long story short, we are now, after a year, at almost 30,000 boards. And so it blew my mind. And I think it speaks a lot to how great the product is and how great the team is at being able to iterate and take that sort of customer feedback. And, there have been very specific examples of our users saying, oh, we want to be able to send emails, or we want to be able to do this or that. And we implement those features. So there's always new things coming out. If you subscribe to our newsletter, you'll get an email pretty much monthly that's, oh, we just updated Crumble fields and now you can change them and make your own. And, now we have the new integration with, this tool or that. So super iterative as we go along. So if you want to go to the next slide, Dasha, I just want to kind of explain again, in case anyone's wondering, like, what is a CRM? And it's like, I don't work in sales. Why do I need that? But truthfully, a CRM is any way you're managing contacts. And so I'll explain a few more use cases in a minute, but if there's anything you're doing to keep track of, whether it's, specific people, even if you're not trying to sell to them, you're just maybe trying to manage relationships with them, whether it's orders that you have or from current customers, or even like I use this to manage like requests for stickers, which by the way, I'll send out a link if anybody wants a Crumble sticker. We have some and I'm happy to mail them out. And so it expand your horizons a little bit, and don't just think of like a traditional, like, oh, a Salesforce tool. I don't need Salesforce. There's tons of different ways you can, manage your contacts, and down to, I even use Trello to organize an address book of like all of my friends. So I'm able to see, like, anytime I'm like, well, what's so-and-so's address? I don't have to go scroll through emails and text messages. So if you want to go to the next slide, I'll explain what does Crumble do with that. Crumble basically applies all the things you need to manage contacts out of the box. So it applies a list layout like a standard sales pipeline, but you can also customize those lists to fit your use case. And that's kind of a core way of how we organize, or the way Crumble works to be able to implement all these things, is each list in your Trello board is a stage of your funnel, whether it's a sales pipeline going from new leads to cold to warm to one, or whether it's people you're hiring for a job and it's a new applicant to interviewing to offer extended to job starting. So that's how you use the list layouts. Crumble also automatically includes reports on the performance of your contacts as they go through all of those stages. So if you want to see what percentage of your leads are actually converting to one, you can see that with Crumble reporting out of the box. You don't have to configure any special reports or go pull data. You can very quickly see the reporting on how they move through the different stages. And you can also layer on filtering with your custom Crumble fields. So for instance, if you want to track this by marketing source, if you want to be able to see that's one of your custom Crumble fields, which I'll show you in a minute, where you can see, oh, this lead came in from Instagram, this one came in from walk-in, this one came in from a flyer or whatever. You can easily see that and filter your reports by that to see, oh, okay, well, our Instagram leads are more likely to convert to one than our other leads. Going back to those custom fields, you can add as many as you want in different types for each contact. So core ones that come out of the box are the standard ones you're used to, like first name, last name, email, phone number, company name, the deal values, so that you can be able to see, sum up values of what your sales pipeline's worth at different stages, the date they were created, and the source. But you can easily create more if you're interested in like a URL, for instance. You can, like their website URL, you can add that in and easily click to go to their website straight from your Crumble card. And another thing it does is automatically syncs your leads. So you can connect your forms to bring your Trello leads in automatically. So this is really nice. I've not seen another power up that does this, and I'm kind of surprised there's not even one out of the box with Google. But I get so many people ask me, like, I have a Google form. How do I get those responses to go into Trello? And previously I'd have to be like, well, you can set something up with Zapier. And if you're using Typeform, like there's the Typeform power up, but Crumble does all of this just as part of the Crumble power up. So you don't have to add any additional ones. You don't have to go use Zapier. You can go where your forms are set. Depending on what the tool is, you may still need to use Zapier, but we're adding new integrations all the time. But with Google Forms and Typeform and Facebook leads, and Alberto, maybe feel free to post in there if I'm forgetting one, but I know those are like the main ones that are just like out of the box. And otherwise you can connect with Zapier, and it's super easy to do there. So if you want to, next slide kind of shows what some of those use cases are. Like I said, kind of expanding your mind on what is a contact. We often think of leads, but hiring and recruiting, that's a big one too, when, job applicants and hiring them through roles. Customer support, so if you get service requests or questions that are coming up, you're able to kind of triage them. Think through basically anybody you work with who goes through a linear sort of flow. So order management's another good one, where it's like, oh, someone, ordered this product, I need to package it, I need to have it shipped, and it's been delivered. So if you want, I can go ahead and share screen now, and we can go behind the scenes if we're ready for that.
We'll do it.
So literally all I've done so far is created just a basic Trello board. I went ahead and added a fun Crumble background. Alberto has made all kinds of different ones, and I'll post the link to it, but there's tons of different ones and we make new ones all the time. So you can kind of style your boards a little bit. Note, you will need to use Trello Business Class to be able to do that though, because I think that's the only way you can customize the photos, but just, fun little flair there. So let's say you want to start using Crumble. It's super simple. Go to Add Power Up. We'll hope the demo gods are good to me today. Add Crumble, just click Add, and you just go right here. You'll have to select a Crumble team, which is kind of like Trello teams, but different. It's a similar concept of wanting to be able to keep everything together. And so, for instance, if you have multiple Crumble boards, a lot of people will have like a board for instance, like their pre-sale to like post-sale for like renewals and things like that. So keeping it organized by teams makes it super easy to do for that. And then this is the easiest part. You can make your own lists, or you can just click one button and it'll add the entire layout for you. And you just give it a few seconds to let it do its magic. And out of the box, you've already got some examples set up. We'll come back here so you can see that, but just see what your board looks like. This is a standard sales pipeline. Again, you can change the names of this if you're not using it for sales and you want to do like new job applicant or, whatever you want to do for that. But super easy like that. And out of the box, you've got a lead card. And so this is an example, what it looks like. And here's what your Crumble fields look like out of the box. So you can, add whatever you want. If you want to add a new one manually, just add a new card, new lead, and you can say Brittany, joiner. Making up a number there. You can add an email, company, type in whatever here, all good to go. And it, that is your new lead contact, and you can drag that around. One of the things I really like about why this works so well with Trello is because you can also like add on pieces with Butler and different like automation and stuff to say, okay, cool. When it moves into hot, there's a new like follow-up checklist. And so you can add on specific items for what needs to happen and be able to keep track of that, and make sure it's send email, and add in different reminders for being able to do things like that. You can assign members. So if you're managing, like, let's say there's multiple people on your team and you want to assign leads, I can take one, I can give one to Alberto. Like a good example of this is on our Crumble sticker board. If the stickers are like, if I'm sending it to someone here in the US, then that's where I'm going to send it. But if I'm going to send it. But if it's in the UK, then Alberto and Tony, the founder, they take care of sending those since they're based out there. So that's what your lead looks like. But that's if you want to manually add one. Of course, you don't really want to do that probably all too frequently. And so some other ways you can do that is to go to your Crumble settings, and you can go to your toppings, and you can integrate with any of these sources. So again, this is exactly where you would hook up a Google form, and it's as simple as signing into Google and picking the form and saying, here's the fields that I want it to map through. Same thing with type form. And you can put some of that data to be in the description. You can have it update the specific fields. Super easy way of syncing that sort of data. Another way you can do that is, let's say you're sitting here and you're like, man, this is awesome. I want to do this. I right now have a bunch of leads in a spreadsheet, or I have a bunch of leads in Fusionsoft or something, and I want to move all this into Trello, but that's going to be a pain. It's not going to be a pain. All you got to do is export it to a CSV, and then you can actually import those leads from a CSV file. And I don't actually have one prepared because I know we're trying to keep this concise, but we have videos prepared on this and blog posts, so we can walk you through step by step how to do it, where you can add in leads from a spreadsheet and say, this is the column that says which list they need to go in, this is which field they map to. And same way, if you ever need to export all the leads you have, you can export to a CSV or an Excel sheet. So that's a super handy thing. And then your dashboard, this is where you get the insights I was telling you about. I spend a lot of time doing reporting as a marketer, and I can tell you any tool that saves time on me having to grab the data and just goes ahead and puts it together for me so I can act on it is super helpful. So this is where you can kind of visualize your pipeline and how it's working. And if you put in deal amounts, for example, let's go back to my new lead. Let's go ahead and give a deal value of that. You can now see in our Crumble reports I've now got the deal value added on here, and I can see what that looks like through different stages. You can see which percentage of leads make it to different lists. You can save that view if you want to be able to have different reports. And importantly, one of the reasons we recommend using the drop-down fields for organizing your different status or source of leads is that we can actually filter by that. So I didn't actually give me a source yet. So let me do that real quick and show you. Let's say I came from Instagram. I work on social media ads, so that feels appropriate. So you can actually see the different source that they come from with Instagram or Crumble or Empty. And if you have other drop-down fields, correct me if I'm wrong, Alberta, but like with the other drop-down fields, you can add them in here. And that's where you can kind of filter by, let's say you have another drop-down of, maybe status of like, or like an industry, for instance, if you want to be able to say, oh, these are my leads in this vertical or this area, or, for instance, if you're hiring for multiple roles and you want to be able to filter your data by like this role you're hiring for versus this one. So that's pretty cool. And then there's so many other things, but like in the interest of time, I'm going to try to be brief. But one other thing I want to show you is being able to send emails from your Trello board. So super easy. You just need to connect your email, and any lead that has an email address, you can just click this send email button, and you'll need to connect your Google account, which I'm going to do real quick. It's going to make a pop-up that asks me to verify a bunch of things. Let me just do that real quick, and you'll be able to see. There we go. So all set up. If you add the Gmail tracking, this is where it will add snippets of your emails to your Trello card, so that you can actually, view that history right in there. And recently we just added custom email templates. So you can add new ones or edit and use some of the ones we've got. So you don't have to actually type up this email every time. But now let's say I actually want to send myself an email. I just click that button. I can pick a template, I can customize it. It supports Markdown, so you can add links or whatever you want, and just hit send, and it sends that email. And it updates hourly, so you're not going to like instantly be able to see the snippet, but you will, if you come back in an hour, see a little snippet of, oh, Brittany sent this email. So I'll go ahead and pause and take a deep breath. I don't know if there's anything that anybody specifically had questions about, but we're about to, I know, go into some Q&A time. So but yeah, that is Crumble out of the box.
Awesome. My favorite thing about Crumble is that, CRMs don't have to be boring. They can have little Crumble monsters and a nice color scheme, and work and reporting can be made fun if the design is fun. So a huge shout out to Alberto for all the cool designs and the personality behind Crumble. I think that's really great to see. I know we've got a little, like about 8 minutes left of the webinar, so really want to open the floor to the attendees here. If you have any questions about Trello, approvals for Trello, Crumble, backups for Trello, either you can raise your hand on Zoom, so you can raise your hand if you want to go off mute and just ask your question, or drop a question in the chat and we'll answer it. So Sarah is asking, can I create a Crumble card into a board template?
Well, so that's actually one thing I didn't even mention. We have a bunch of templates. So I'll post a link to it, but if you like on our main crumble.com, here, I can actually share screen again real quick. On Crumble, you can, hang on, it's trying to get me logged into the website and I just want to go to the homepage. We actually have templates on here. So what am I sharing? Share screen, Chrome, there we go. So yeah, so on our homepage, if you go down here, we actually have some templates that we recommend. So you can get started right out of the box with, let's say I want to use it for this use case, click it and we'll go straight to your Trello template, and you can create a board from this template and then start adding cards right in there. And I don't know if that answers your question or not, but you can add leads after you've created the list layout. Like I mentioned, if you want, you can add them in and define which list, which stage they need to go in.
Super cool. Nigel is asking, for Crumble emails, rather than snippets, are users able to get a whole email?
So we just call them snippets. You can make, as far as I know, you can make the email as long as you need to. I don't think we just call it snippets because it's kind of like shorter ones, but you can say, I'm sure there's some amount of character length in it. You can't write a novel in an email, but I hope you wouldn't do that in Gmail anyway. So, but yeah, snippets, and that's actually probably good feedback for us to know, is that like that may give the perception of that it's limited, but yeah, you can send a whole email, and that is listed in the comments, is everything you share there. As far as I know, like yeah, I don't think it like breaks it down to just show only an artifact of it. I think it shows the entire email there.
Yeah, I think when I've seen snippet too, I think that the word that's used is mostly like, something that's saved, like canned, almost like a canned email.
Yeah.
So it just
Template.
means,
Yeah.
you don't have to rewrite it every single time. Okay, Suzanne is asking, are there integrations with Outlook, Trello, and Crumble, or plans to integrate? She's a fairly new user and has business class.
So we've definitely talked about like Outlook and Gmail, because we integrate with Gmail. That's another piece I didn't dive too much into, is the fact that we integrate with Gmail and your Google contacts, and you can sync data back and forth on them. But we don't necessarily have something set up with Outlook, although that is kind of on the radar, because we do get a lot of people asking about that. So I know that may not be the answer you're wanting, but like coming soon.
Debbie is asking, how do you, oh, sorry.
No, sorry, I see that now. How do you stop the Crumble Trello come together message pop up to stop every time I change boards? Sounds like you may have hit a bug somewhere with that, Debbie. If you have, head over to crumble.com, and in the bottom right, there's a little icon where you can reach out to our team, and we'll help support that. There may be some sort of bug, but we did recently, when we released Crumble Teams, like if it's the first time you've accessed a board since we released that, you will have to select it to a Crumble team. But if you've already done that before, you shouldn't have to keep doing that. So I would say reach out to our support team if you're still having some issues with that.
How do you link a contact to everything he's connected to? Orders, projects, or whatever else? Is connecting cards the only way?
Yeah, I'm assuming what you're saying is like there's this one lead that's on multiple, multiple boards. Like maybe you do have like something that maybe you do have something with being able to sorry, I got distracted with another chat here. I think like yes, connecting cards is probably the best way to do that. I know we're talking about if there's like multiple cards in an account, like how do we link those together? Sometimes you can do that with like labels, and then you can filter the board by all the labels and see multiple cards. I don't think that's exactly what you're talking about, because it seems like you're mentioning they're on different boards. So unfortunately, don't know that I have like a super great answer for, connecting cards is probably the right way. Although that's where I would probably dive a little into how your boards are structured and why they're structured the way they are. For instance, like maybe you're an agency, so that's why you're saying like, I have this board of sales, and then when they become a customer, they move to another board. So there still should be only one contact. It just maybe moves to another board. So I think like that maybe we're thinking through some of the structure of how you set it up, where if there are multiple cards, like is there a way to make there be one, or like if there's not, then is there a specific reason why they need to be connected? Also, I think back to the Outlook question, I think like with the Gmail tracking, it was initially meant for like following up and getting a short notice. So, okay, that correction with the snippet that comes in the comments for like, let's say you send an email, you do actually only get, I think, a snippet of here's the email that was sent. And that's just for now meant for like following up and getting a short notice, like, oh, okay, I got an email, but you'll get a link to that mail so you can go directly to that email and then, see the full message if you need to. So sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
That makes sense. Okay, I know we've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to take this time to just thank everyone who joined today in person. We will send out a recording of this probably tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and then you can share it with the team. Watch us in 2x speed if you missed anything. Love doing that with webinar recordings.
I talk really fast, so good luck with that.
That's great. So if anyone has any other questions, you have my email. It's Dasha, DASHA @rewind.com. If you have any questions for Brittany or Craig, I'm sure you can message them directly. If you can't find their emails, message me and I will relay it back to Brittany and Craig. And something that I'm calling out, hopefully I make it before this webinar ends, If you as a Trello user have any questions about Trello, or if there's something that you're stuck on, we're always looking for new ideas for events to run. So send me an email and say, hey, Dasha, like this is a problem I can't solve. And we have a connection with tons of Trello experts. So we can get you connected and get you on a free webinar session to learn more about Trello. So hopefully we can tackle that challenge you're running into together. So anyways, thank you. It's been so great. Thank you for engaging with us and for participating in the chat, chiming in live. And yeah, we'll see you at the next one. Thank you so much to Brittany and Craig as well. You guys are awesome. Super, super happy you were on here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.